The very words ancient Egypt conjure a familiar mirage in our minds. Colossal pyramids piercing a desert sky, golden-masked pharaohs staring into eternity, and enigmatic hieroglyphs whispering forgotten spells. These are the grand monuments, the headline acts of a civilization that has captivated the world for millennia. But these iconic images, as magnificent as they are, form only the surface layer of a story far richer and more intricate than we've been led to believe. They are the book cover, not the novel within. Beneath the sands of Giza and within the shadowed halls of temples lies a world teeming with human drama, surprising innovation, and social structures that feel startlingly familiar. This was a society not just of gods and kings, but of thinkers, builders, and rebels. So let's embark on a journey beyond the sarcophagus and the Sphinx. Let's peel back the layers of myth and misconception to uncover the truths of daily life, governance, and belief. We'll discover that the people who walked the banks of the Nile thousands of years ago were not so different from us. They played games, sought medical advice, navigated complex politics, and even fought for their rights. Prepare to meet the real ancient Egypt, a civilization whose ingenuity and humanity are its most enduring secrets. Our first stop is not a tomb or a temple, but a tabletop. More than 5,000 years ago, long before chess or checkers, Egyptians gathered to play Senet. On the surface, it looks like a simple board game, one of the oldest ever discovered. But to the Egyptians, this was no mere pastime. It was a profound simulation of life, death, and the perilous journey to the afterlife. The name Senet itself translates to passing, and every single move was imbued with deep spiritual meaning. The game board, with its 30 squares arranged in 3 rows of 10, was a map of the Duat, the Egyptian underworld. Each player's pieces were their souls, navigating a path fraught with both peril and promise. Instead of dice, players threw casting sticks, flat, two-sided batons, to determine their moves, placing their fate in the hands of the gods. Some squares offered protection or advancement, like the House of Rebirth. Others were traps, representing hazards like being ensnared in cosmic waters or sent backward on their journey. The ultimate goal was to safely navigate all of your pieces off the final square, symbolizing a successful union with the sun god Ra and the achievement of eternal life. To lose was to face spiritual oblivion. This belief was so central that beautifully crafted Senet boards were essential funerary items. 4 were found in Tutankhamun's tomb, placed there to ensure the young king could play against fate itself and secure his place among the gods. From the spiritual realm, we turn to the surprisingly scientific. The ancient Egyptians were pioneers of medicine, with knowledge of surgery, dentistry, and pharmacology documented in texts like the Ebers Papyrus. But one of their most remarkable innovations is found in medical papyri dating back to 1350 BC. It describes what is, in essence, the world's first known pregnancy test. The procedure was simple, yet ingenious. A woman who suspected she might be pregnant was instructed to urinate into 2 separate bags, one containing barley seeds and the other wheat seeds, over the course of several days. If the seeds in either bag began to sprout, the test was positive. She was expecting a child. The Egyptians took it a step further, believing they could also predict the baby's gender. If the barley sprouted first, it would be a boy. If the wheat sprouted first, a girl. Now, the gender prediction was pure folklore, with no scientific basis. But the pregnancy test itself? It actually worked. Modern studies have confirmed that the high levels of estrogen hormones in a pregnant woman's urine can indeed stimulate seed germination. In a 1963 laboratory test, this ancient method was found to be correct about 70% of the time. It's a stunning example of early scientific observation, a testament to a people who carefully watched the world around them to unlock its secrets, blending magic and medicine in a way that produced real, practical results. No figure looms larger in the final chapter of ancient Egypt than Cleopatra. Her name evokes images of exotic beauty and power, the quintessential Egyptian queen. But here lies one of history's great misconceptions. Cleopatra VII was not ethnically Egyptian at all. She was Greek. Her lineage traced directly back to Ptolemy I, a Macedonian general who served under Alexander the Great. When Alexander died, Ptolemy seized control of Egypt, establishing a dynasty that would rule for nearly 300 years. For all that time, the Ptolemies remained resolutely Hellenistic. They ruled from the cosmopolitan city of Alexandria, spoke Greek, worshipped Greek gods alongside Egyptian ones, and in a tradition that shocked many, often married their own siblings to preserve the purity of their bloodline. Cleopatra was different. She was a brilliant and ambitious ruler who understood that to truly command Egypt, she had to be more than a foreign queen. In a radical break from centuries of family tradition, she became the first Ptolemaic ruler to master the Egyptian language. But she didn't stop there. She was a gifted polyglot, said to speak at least 9 languages, which allowed her to negotiate with foreign diplomats without needing an interpreter. More importantly, she embraced Egyptian religion and customs, presenting herself in art as the reincarnation of the goddess Isis. This was a calculated and masterful political move. By speaking to her subjects in their own tongue and honoring their gods, she forged a powerful bond of loyalty that her predecessors never could, securing her throne and cementing her legacy as the last true pharaoh of Egypt. For centuries, the dominant image of how the pyramids were built, popularized by Hollywood epics, was one of immense suffering. Thousands of slaves toiling under the crack of a whip, dying in the desert sun. This dramatic narrative, however, is a myth. The real story, uncovered through modern archaeology, is far more compelling. The Great Pyramids were not built by slaves, but by a highly organized and well-compensated workforce of native Egyptians. This labor force consisted of tens of thousands of skilled craftsmen and seasonal laborers, many of whom were farmers. They worked on the pyramids during the annual flooding of the Nile, a time when their fields were underwater and agricultural work was impossible. It was a form of national service, a way to contribute to a project of immense religious and cultural importance. The proof lies just south of the Giza Plateau, where archaeologists have excavated an entire city built for the pyramid workers. This lost city, complete with bakeries, breweries, and medical facilities, reveals a community that was well cared for. Their tombs, discovered nearby, are a testament to their status. They were buried with honor, laid to rest in the shadow of the very monuments they helped create, a privilege never afforded to slaves. Analysis of their remains shows they ate a protein-rich diet of meat and fish, and their bones show evidence of expert medical care, including healed fractures and even amputations. They were paid not in money, which was not yet in common use, but in the essentials of life. Daily rations of bread and beer, which served as both sustenance and a standard form of currency for labor across the kingdom. Our final story shatters another common misconception, that the pharaoh's power was absolute and the common people were passive subjects. In the 12th century BC, during the reign of Ramses III, Egypt was facing economic turmoil and bureaucratic corruption. This instability was felt most keenly by the elite artisans of a special village known as Deir el-Medina. These were not ordinary laborers. They were the most skilled craftsmen in the land, the men responsible for secretly carving and decorating the magnificent royal tombs in the Valley of the Kings. They were literate, highly respected, and directly employed by the state. And in approximately 1152 BC, they did something unprecedented. They organized the world's first recorded labor strike. The details of their protest are meticulously recorded on a document known as the Turin Strike Papyrus. Their government supplied rations of grain, the very salary they depended on to feed their families, were over 20 days late. Fed up with empty promises from local officials, the workers put down their chisels and brushes. They marched out of their village and staged a sit-in at the mortuary temples of the pharaohs they served, effectively halting work on these sacred projects. A scribe recorded their defiant words. "We are hungry, for 18 days have passed this month." They occupied the temples, refusing to move until their grievances were heard. The protest worked. Panicked officials scrambled to find the overdue grain and delivered it to the workers. This remarkable event, a powerful display of collective bargaining, proves that even in the age of pharaohs, ordinary people had a voice and were willing to use it to demand the respect and payment they were owed. So, we have journeyed from the game board to the royal court, from a medical marvel to a workers' protest. Each of these stories chips away at the monolithic image of ancient Egypt. We've seen a people who viewed life as a spiritual game of strategy, whose scientific curiosity led to inventions that were centuries ahead of their time, and whose society was a complex tapestry of different cultures and classes. We've met a Greek queen who became the ultimate Egyptian pharaoh and discovered that the greatest monuments were built not by the oppressed, but by proud, respected citizens. Ancient Egypt was not a static world of stone and gold. It was a living, breathing civilization, dynamic and full of contradictions, driven by the same human needs and desires that drive us today. The true treasures of this land are not the glittering artifacts in a museum case, but the incredible, often surprising stories of the people who built it. Their legacy is a powerful reminder that history is never a closed book. There are always new secrets waiting to be unearthed, forever challenging our perceptions and deepening our connection to the shared human story. Like and share this video. Subscribe to History Reels channel. Thank you for watching this video.